Hey everyone, Brad Porter here. Another great week. I was in New York City this week. New York City, springtime. It's beautiful. Trees were budding. Sun was out. It was a great time. City invited me to give the fireside chat kickoff for a robotics investor event they were doing, bringing together a lot of multi-stage investors with robotics companies. It was great to have an opportunity to kind of compare notes on our thesis of how robotics and AI are fusing. Obviously, you bring together multi-stage investors in a week where the U.S. decided to launch kind of a global tariff trade war. The markets tanked. It was sometimes hard to focus on robotics, and a lot of the discussions drifted toward there. I think in COVID we saw a lot of supply chain disruption. I think with this trade war we're going to see a lot of supply chain disruption. I think supply chain disruption, unfortunately, doesn't create the foundation for companies to feel great about making significant capital expenditures. They tend to go a little bit more into lockdown mode, spend a little bit less, and try to bring predictability back to their business environment before they want to make huge capital expenditures again. For robotics, though, that means that there's a real interest in solutions that are adaptable, are flexible, require less kind of fixed material handling, less upfront expenditure. And I think that's the type of robotic capability we're deploying and developing. And so I think for us, this shift, these transformations can be a net advantage as customers still think about how do they deal with a challenging, constrained labor environment. I mean, as much as we seem to talk about bringing jobs back to the U.S. with this, trade tariffs, unemployment's at 4%, and I think the U.S. has shifted to an innovation-driven, services-driven economy where much of the kind of raw materials processing, the manufacturing, the kind of heavy lifting is done globally to serve and benefit our society. And so I sometimes am a little confused why we think we want to bring back, in 1950s, 35% of the U.S. labor was in manufacturing, but a lot of those folks working those jobs were saving up to send their kids to college, to help transition to this new economy and this kind of better lifestyle. And so, I do think local manufacturing is good, and I think we're going to do that with a lot of automation. And so, bringing that capability back to the U.S. is ultimately a strategic advantage for us. But the jobs argument seems a little odd. I think we're going to bring it back with a lot of automation, and I think that's going to benefit companies like ours. Overall, I think the idea that that any imbalance in trade is somehow a zero-sum win-lose, that someone else is winning and the U.S. is losing. No, I think we've benefited greatly from other countries doing a lot of work on our behalf that helps our society. At the same time, as we've paid them for goods and services, their standard of living and quality of life has gone up. So I think the global economy has really experienced this win-win over the last, over much of my lifetime, over the last 40 years. And so I think this kind of zero-sum thinking where we think it's all win-lose doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, at the same time, it is always possible in these win-win relationships that the interactions aren't reciprocal, that one side is taking advantage of the other. And I think you do have to make sure you set boundaries there and make sure that things are fair. And so in as much as that's the attempt, then that could be really, really beneficial. I think Marco Rubio said it really well, which is people just need to understand that the rules and the new rules of this game. But what we saw this week wasn't a lot of clarity in what the new rules and the new world order will be. And so hopefully the administration comes out with much clearer set of policies, proposals, expectations that we can all work toward and support and benefit. So I'm looking forward to hopefully more clarity. I think that type of clarity will help the stock market to recover as well. And hopefully we get away from kind of this somewhat simplistic, there are winners and losers, and start to realize that all parties have really benefited from this global expansion driven by technology. Technology is really the key building block that has enabled quality of life improvements around the world. And that, I think, is where we need to keep investing, is in innovating in technologies and AIs and robotics. And so that's where my time's focused, and excited about the future in that space. Thanks, everyone.